Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm going to do something a little bit different than what I've been doing before. I'm going to do some electronics. This right here is an ESP32C3. It has Bluetooth and I believe it's got Wi-Fi and other things on it. But what I wanted to do with this is actually control this stepper motor that I got with the Arduino kit I got online, and I looked online and I saw some resources that I can use to put this together. So that's what I'm going to do here today. So the things we're going to need is our ESP32 board. We're going to need our stepper motor. We're also going to need a stepper motor driver and a bunch of jumper wires, and I have plenty of those here. So the first thing I want to do here is hook up my driver board to my stepper motor, and the driver board and the connector, they've got these little tabs here, so you can see it's pretty easy to know which way to put them in here. So I'm going to plug that in there. So the next thing I want to do is actually try to connect the power to the driver board, and it's got to be connected to my ESP32 on my breadboard. So let's go ahead and take a red jumper wire, and before I go any further, I'm going to show you guys the schematic of the board. So on the left side of the board, I'm going to be using GPIO 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's these four pins right here on the left side of the board. On the other side, you've got a positive 5 volts, and you also have a ground. You don't want to use the 3 volts because that's not enough power to power the stepper motor. So I'm going to use the 5 volts and the ground, and this whole thing is going to be powered through my USB-C type through my computer, and that's where I'm going to run the code, which is right here. So this code is actually written in MicroPython, and I did kind of cheated a little bit. I went to Gemini and Google and said, hey, can you write me some code for this, hooking up an ESP32 and a stepper motor, and that's what it came up with. So we're going to go over that later, but the first thing we got to do is we're going to connect our 5 volts and our ground, which is on the top right of the board. So let's go ahead and switch back over to the board. So on the top right of the board, it's really small. You can't really see it too well. I'm going to plug in this red jumper and that pin right there on my breadboard. And I used actually a purple wire for my ground wire, and that's going to be right next to my 5 volts. That's going to be my ground wire. All right, that's connected. So now what we got to do is connect it to our driver board. And on our driver board, you've got a negative and you've got a plus, and that's going to correspond to the power coming off of the ESP32. So the first one on the left side, that's our negative. So I'm going to take the purple wire, and there's a little header pin there on our driver board, connected just like that. I'm going to take the red wire, which is our positive, and right next to it, there's another header pin. And that's it. So the power for the driver is hooked up to my ESP32. Next thing we got to do is hook up our stepping pins. Okay, so on this board we have an IN1, IN2, IN3, and IN4, and those are going to correspond to the left side of the board for our GPIO pins right there. So let's go ahead and connect the ins. So I'll say orange is going to be the first one, and that's connected like that. And then we'll take our light brown and connect that to our IN2. Then we're going to take, let's take our blue one and connect it to IN3. Just plug it in there. All right, now we've got our white wire, which we're going to connect to IN4. All right, cool. So we can't just plug it in any of these pins over here. We're actually going to connect it based on these GPIO pins. So the top left one, that's going to correspond to GPIO 2, and that's going to be my IN1. The one below it's going to be my IN2 So IN1's here, IN2 there, IN3 is going to be right here, and IN4 is going to be right here. And so let me go ahead and do that. So the first in is going to be our orange one. So that's going to be in our top left of our board. And that's going to plug in right there. The next driver wire is going to be our light brown wire. And that's going to plug in right next to that in our GPIO 3 or the second one there. The next one is going to be our blue wire. And so our blue wire is going to plug in right next to that. And let me see if I have any room in there. Yep. Okay, cool. So that's connected. Now we need one more. Let's go ahead and connect our white wire. And it's going to be right like that. All right. So we've connected our wires to the board, to our stepper driver. And I was going to do a cool little thing here. So on the stepper driver board, it has these 4 little LEDs, and they're just one color. It lights up like a red color. But I actually pre-built this monitoring board that has 4 different colors on it. It got yellow, blue, green, and red. And I'm going to hook those up so it matches the stepper driver board over here. And on my monitoring board, if you don't know, an LED needs a resistor. If you plug an LED straight to power, you're gonna blow the light. You're gonna blow the LED. So they're gonna share a common ground coming off of the resistor, and their positive is going to correspond to these colors right here. So the yellow one is going to be our first one, and we're going to plug that into our breadboard corresponding to our first pin on the top left of our board. Next one, we've got the blue light, so that's going to connect, whoops, next to our yellow. Sorry. There it goes. All right. I think that's right. Yeah, it looks right. Okay. Next is our green. That's going to be connected to our GPIO 3. I'm sorry, 4. And then red is going to be our GPIO 5. And those are going to line up like that. All right. So that's all connected. Now, the last thing we need to do after I've connected all these wires is connect this to my computer, which is going to send the code to our esp32 as well as give everything power. So let's go ahead and plug that in there. And you can see this little LED on the board lighting up, that little red one. It means we've got power to it. And so let me go over to the other screen. So this is the code that we're going to be running, and so I'm going to leave this code in the description so you guys can see it, and if you want to try this out yourself, it's going to be pretty cool. So the first one we're going to run, it's going to be kind of slow, so you're not going to be able to see the stepper motor spin at all, the shaft spin at all. It's going to be super slow. Actually, now it's going to be super slow. So I'm going to show you the step delay right here. This controls the speed of the stepping. So it's going to be at 0.1 of a second. So every light's going to be on a 0.1 of a second, so a tenth of a second. So let's go ahead and run that, and I'm going to hit stop. Let's go ahead and run that, and here we go. For some reason, my monitoring lights are not coming on, but you could see that the driver board those lights are corresponding to the steps. It's working with the stepper motor. So I'm going to hit stop, and I remember that I did not plug in the common ground for my monitoring board. And what I'm going to do is actually use the ground on the ESP32 as my ground for my common. All right, so that should work. Let's go ahead and hit start again. I'm going to run the program, and there you go. So the my color lights are corresponding to the lights that are on the driver. So let's go ahead and stop that, and I'm going to actually speed up Wait, let me start it again, and I'm going to show you something. So this, you can see the shaft. It's not moving really at all. I mean, it is, but it's like super slow, and you can't really tell. So let's go ahead and hit stop, and I'm going to change this value to 0.01. And let's go ahead and run that again, and you're going to see the lights are going to move a little bit faster. A lot faster, actually. So now you can barely see the shaft of this stepper motor rotating, but it's super slow. I mean, if you look at it, it's like really, really slow. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit stop. And let's go ahead and speed up the shaft so you can see it actually moving pretty quickly, relatively quickly. You can't really run these things too fast, but all right, so I move this down to 0.001. And the lower you make this number, the faster you're gonna have that shaft spin. So let's hit play. And you can tell these lights are not, you can't really tell them, you know, them blinking. They are blinking, but they're super fast. Our eyes can't pick it up. But look at the shaft, the speed of it. It's actually moving a lot faster than it was. It's going back. It's going counterclockwise, clockwise, and then it's going to go run back counterclockwise. So in the code, I'm going to show you something real quick. In the code, I'm going to let it run. Down here, it's got all the parameters for the steps, and you know, it's telling the stepper driver to move the motor clockwise and counterclockwise a certain range. But it's not going to stop until I stop it to take the power off or hit stop on the program, because I have a, where's that? I have a while loop in here. You can't really see it, but there is a, oh, here it is. While true. Let me move this up here so you guys can see it. Okay, so while true, so while, you know, this situation is true, it's going to keep running through the code, and it's never going to stop. So you're going to see that thing run and run and run and run. You can take this while loop off, and it's going to run once and then stop. And because that's how code, it just runs through the code and stops. So anyway, that is basically what I wanted to show you guys. Just something cool that I want to do differently. In the future, I'm going to do more electronic type stuff, and I'm going to do some laser cutting and other cool stuff, and I'm going to continue injection molding. But if you like this stuff, go ahead and subscribe, give me a like, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.